You just might be a Luddite. But if you asked to Google what a Luddite is, it would say, quote, someone who resists automation. And if you ask ChatGPT what a Luddite is, it would say it's someone who, quote, is opposed to new technology. And both of them are wrong. Completely, deliberately, historically, all of it just wrong. Conveniently wrong. Very much with intention wrong. Because the real Luddites, they were not anti-technology. They were anti-exploitation. If you've ever had the thought that this whole AI system is not being built for you, I have something to tell you. Stick around to the end of the video to find out what that is. Hey, I'm V, and I read a wonderful, wonderful blog today from an individual named Brian Merchant from his blog called Blood in the Machine, and boy, is it awesome. The blog itself is linked below, and I can't encourage you enough to actually go read through the entire thing. We are going to use Brian's newsletter blog post here as our main source to discuss what a Luddite is and a little bit about how it is being painted in the age of AI. Because how the companies are trying to portray Luddites into the media and through their own products is just not true. Brian Merchant wrote the book on this stuff, and his book is called Blood in the Machine, and it is a history of the Luddite movement itself. So when he says people are fundamentally misunderstanding what a Luddite is, he's not doing so to be contrarian. He's just doing so to hopefully educate people. He wants to correct the record, he has the receipts, and we're gonna get into it. Companies historically have always misconstrued what a Luddite is and what they aim to do. And in the age of AI, it is no different. The companies are misconstruing what a Luddite is, mostly to shut you up. At the end of the day, there are always going to be more of us than there are of them. To illustrate it, let's just go ahead and jump right into the newsletter. A few paragraphs in starts with this quote: "The real Luddites, the machine breakers who rose up at the dawn of the first industrial revolution, were not opposed to technology. They were opposed to the way that technology was being used against them." These Luddites that were opposed to all of this new technology, spinners of wool, knitters, weavers, croppers. They were the largest industrial workforce in England outside of agriculture. They worked under what was known as the domestic system. The artisans worked at home or in small shops alongside their families or peers. Most were what we would describe today as working or middle class. They were not particularly wealthy or prosperous, and times could be lean if the demand for cloth goods shifted, but many owned cottages, worked 30-hour work weeks, and had the autonomy to organize their workday as they saw fit. You might be looking at that thinking that's actually a lot better work balance situation than I have going on. But then the machines came. And the machines came not to make their lives better, but to make the factory owners more wealthier. And what's interesting is this article, this newsletter that Brian is writing here, I think illustrates an interesting point that not only did the machines not make the workers' lives better, but it didn't even make the product better. The article is explicit about this, and Brian writes, quote, "The machines did not improve the quality of the product and rather often dramatically diminished it. The factory owners then replaced the skilled workers with people who didn't need those same skills to operate the machines." And you guessed it, a lot of those unskilled workers brought in to run the machines were children. Some even indentured from nearby orphanages. Even back then, there were some sort of regulations about thread counts, product quality, and worker apprenticeships. The factory owners disregarded all of that. The industrialists, living in a time of Wild West and innovation, decided just to not follow any of it. Brian in the article refers to this as the early iteration of move fast and break things. And that is a super popular ethos highly adopted by the tech industry still today. Addies and energy drinks, baby, lock in. It is the same conditions, it is a different time. They are new owners, but it is the same vibes in the working force. And the only thing that changed is like the literal industry, because we're no longer talking about just textiles, right? We are talking about every industry. The article goes on to point out for 10 years straight, cloth workers try to do things the right way. They organize petitions. They asked the parliament for basic protections, a minimum wage, a ban on paying workers in goods instead of money. Yeah, they didn't want to get paid in just textiles. And above all, they just wanted the factory owners to follow the laws that were in place, and there weren't even that many. Lord Byron, a revered poet at the time, made his first speech in the House of Lords in a thunderous defense of the Luddites. Tens of thousands of people had signed those petitions. And the article says on that, they were roundly ignored. Parliament didn't just ignore them either. Parliament sided with the factory owners and threw out the remaining regulations protecting the workers. All together, in lockstep, they decided to work together and move backwards. And the workers were stuck. Regulators and factory owners working together to screw over the worker. Does this sound familiar at all? So the workers, their backs are against a wall. They have exhausted almost every legal avenue that is afforded to them. Their families are unable to eat. What do? They start breaking machines. And even that was targeted, intentional, and strategic. They didn't just smash anything without reason. They smashed specifically the machines that were being used to exploit them, the ones that were de-skilling their labor and also exploiting children. They left the others alone. And to me, when I'm reading that, it doesn't feel like chaos. It does feel like a clear message that was pretty organized. The article says, quote, "For a few years, they were more beloved than Robin Hood." That is the Luddites in a nutshell. What were the Luddites' demands? The actual list had fair wages, checks on fraud and abuse. They wanted a working life where they can maintain dignity for not only themselves but their families, and also, if they could, retain any personal autonomy. They also wanted a seat at the table where these policies were being discussed. They wanted a say in how this technology was going to be leveraged and integrated into their communities. And they also wanted to put down the machinery hurtful to commonality. Machinery hurtful to commonality. We have to talk about that. It is not all technology they want put down. They do not want to stop progress at all. The commonality here is the people. When saying machinery hurtful to commonality, we're talking about machinery that is directly putting at risk a livelihood, eroding fair wages, harming the community on the whole, the commonality of the people. Are you with me? And that is the whole thing. The government and the ruling class, they crushed them. Parliament ruled that machine breaking was a crime, punishable by death. Some Luddites were publicly executed, and the movement died out by 1810s. The Luddites' loss built a foundation for worker protections that sprang out after. To bring it back to modern times, do you think Bernie Sanders is a Luddite? He proposed a moratorium on building new AI data centers, which, by the way, is an incredibly popular position for him to take. The Washington Post called him a Luddite for that. And Sanders responded, defensively mind you, in a Fox News op-ed saying, quote, "I am not a Luddite. The goal, however, is to make sure that new technologies serve human needs and not just further enrich a small number of multi-billionaires. We do not simply need a more efficient society. We need a world where people live healthier, happier, and more fulfilled lives." But I agree with the author, Brian, who's writing this article that asserts Bernie Sanders is a Luddite. And I would say, yeah, he is a Luddite, and I don't think he should be apologizing for it at all. Because what Bernie Sanders is saying here is we have to make sure that when we're building tech and bringing it into our communities, that the technology benefits everybody, if not most people. But right now, it is harming, if not most people, and only benefiting the tippity top, the 1%, the capital holders, the factory owners, or in this case, the data center, the data infrastructure owners. I think technology should benefit the masses and not just the billionaires. That is what the Luddites were asking for 200 years ago, and we are asking for it again today as we move into this AI world. Because the AI world is coming whether we want it to, I think, or not. So here's the moment. Are you a Luddite? Because right now, these companies, Google, ChatGPT, they are all teaching a brand new generation that Luddites are against technology. That definition of Luddites came from the people who crushed the Luddite movement to begin with. That argument was invented to discredit Luddites. Now AI is just spewing that out as if it is a fact, which is crazy if you think about it, because that means that the machines are now literally perpetrating the same propaganda that 200 years ago the factory owners were propagating. Remember, it was those factory owners, the capital owners, the policymakers 200 years ago that killed the Luddites. The machines are now parroting that same sentiment, minus the whole unaliving bit. So the next time that somebody calls you a Luddite or asks you, are you a Luddite? Ask them, how are you not a Luddite? Do you not want fair wages, dignity, and a seat at the table? I don't even think they were radical in 1811, and I definitely don't think they're radical in 2026. So Luddites, I don't know, sound off in the comments or something. And until next time, I'm V.